Hi, 7th grade. This is day 2 of the Bering Strait theory. After today, tomorrow we'll start working on the Aztec civilization, but we need to know how the New World was populated. And remember, the New World is North America and South America, because from the perspective of the Europeans, it was new to them. So they didn't know that it existed until they discovered it, in quotes, discovered it in 1492. Today, we're going to go over this map. Then we're going to look at Google Earth, a video, 2 videos, and a short reading. So to summarize from yesterday, people developed or people evolved, early humans evolved in Africa. I need to highlight this, in Africa. And then they migrated into Europe, Asia, Australia, and finally into North America. You see this piece right here? That's this right here. Okay. And we talked about how at one point in the last 30 or 40,000 years ago, this area here was solid land. So people were able to cross from the old world to the new world. Okay. So that's what this map is about. Let's look at Google Earth real quick. So according to historians and archaeologists, you have Africa, and early humans developed primarily in Ethiopia. Okay. And then they migrated out of Africa into Asia, into Europe. Okay. You probably heard of Neanderthals. Neanderthals went extinct about 30,000 years ago. That's a type of early human. Okay. People eventually began to migrate, or humans began to migrate into Asia. And obviously that takes longer. India, obviously a part of Asia. But then, so again, I want you guys to keep track of this, okay? Keep an eye on the top part. Then they make it into Australia at the bottom. And then they get to this area here, okay? And humans eventually are able to cross this Bering Strait. That's this area right here, okay? It's about 50 miles wide. And that is because during the last ice age, people were able to actually cross this because this was land, right? With the last ice age, the sea levels dropped and people were able to cross the Bering Straits. I'm gonna go back. Africa, Australia, and then you get to, this is modern day Russia, and this is Alaska. This is Alaska, okay? And then it takes thousands of years for them to continue downward, okay? They continue their travel downward and also east. These people eventually become the foundation for Native Americans. These are the Native Americans, the Paleo Indians, okay? And then they continue all the way to the bottom, okay? Starting on Thursday, we're going to be focusing on one of the civilizations that is descendant of these Native Americans, and that's going to be the Aztec civilization, and they developed in central Mexico. Okay, central Mexico. So I'll take you back. So according to historians and archaeologists, people developed in Africa. Again, you will see that the early humans looked nothing like us. They looked like monkeys or apes, right? And you'll see that eventually modern humans developed. Modern humans developed, and they begin to migrate throughout the world. And what allows them to migrate and cross the Bering Straits is the last ice age, which allowed people to cross from the old world. Again, the old world is Africa, Asia, and Europe, to the new world. After the ice age ends, this goes back to looking like this. So people are once again separated for thousands of years from the old world to the new world. Okay, so that's what I'm going to say about that. Here's a short video. They're really short, so just pay close attention to these.
How how did the Native American population spread to North, Central, and South America? Historians believe that Native Americans crossed a land bridge to get here. Thousands of years ago, the Earth entered a time known as the Ice Age. During this time, low temperatures caused the water to freeze and the water levels in the ocean to drop. Because of this, land that is normally under the water could be seen and even walked on. During this time of frozen water and exposed land, a bridge was made that connected Asia and North America. In Asia, there lived many people who hunted animals for food.
So again, these are hunter-gatherers, people that are constantly moving and usually following some form of animal, hunter-gatherers.
During the Ice Age, those animals migrated or moved over the land bridge and into North America. The hunters followed them because they needed food. By following herds of animals, hunter-gatherer people may have crossed the land bridge and then continued across North America and into South America. Tribes settled in different areas of the continent that met their needs.
So that's that one. There's another short one. This is kind of cute. Before the Ice Age. So you see the water decrease. Hunters, followers. Nomadic simply means from moving from one spot to the next. So that's the story of the first Americans, right? The people that settled North and South America, that became the descendants of the Native Americans. Okay, so that's that. I'm gonna go over this text with you. One thing that I've noticed is that when I give a text, I've noticed that a lot of students are not doing it. I know that reading can be challenging, but it needs to happen. Okay, so I will be doing this today. Let me get a different highlighter. Okay, background. Over 70,000 years ago, most of the world's water froze because it was so cold. This time period was known as the Second Ice Age. Okay. As a result, the water levels on all of the world's oceans dropped, and large areas of land that had previously been covered by water were now exposed. We just talked about that, right? Water that had covered the Bering Straits went down, so the land underneath the Bering Straits was exposed, meaning that people could actually walk. People could actually walk on it. For example, the land between present-day Alaska and Siberia, the one that I showed you, Russia. In Russia, that was previously covered with water, was exposed during the Second Ice Age. This land provided a direct path for the native people living in Asia to enter North America. If you look at the DNA of people living in Asia and North America from this time is very similar. Okay. Moving on, scientists believe that the first people to set foot in North America entered the continent by way of this land bridge approximately 15,000 years ago. Now, there's a great debate of how long. Some people have said they discovered an animal that was killed 100,000 years ago, and it had to been done by a human. So this is a theory, but it is still a theory. People still debate this, okay? However, because there is no proof of this idea, it is often referred to as a land bridge theory. A theory is a idea or a set of ideas that explains an unknown topic or events. Okay, so you might maybe you guys can eventually in the future become historians, like our friend Ernesto, and maybe you can come up with a different theory and support it with evidence of maybe there's a different way that humans made it to the New World and debunks this theory. Okay. Fast fact, today the land bridge is covered by the Bering Straits, which is a narrow body of water that separates Russia and Alaska. It is narrow, but it is still about 50 miles, right? And it's really cold up there. Travelers, the native people who came from Asia into North America across the frozen land bridge are considered to be the very first Americans. So when you hear the Pilgrims being the first Americans, that is incorrect, right? The first Americans came 20, 30, 40,000 years before. These people are the ancestors of the Native Americans that the Europeans later met when they arrived in the New World. The Europeans came after 1492. So these people, these Native Americans, had been here for thousands of years before. These first Americans wore warm clothing that was made from animal hides or animal skin, and were experts at navigating unknown lands. Although it is not known with certainty or 100%, scientists think the natives left Asia because they were following herds of bison across the land bridge. We do not know if these people moved quickly across the land bridge or if they took a slower pace. Some theories even suggest natives might have lived on the land bridge for close to 5,000 years. Interesting. If these people did survive in the difficult conditions on the land bridge for many years, they'd likely make fires out of the shrubs and plants that grow in the tundra region. They probably also burned animal bones for food, the fat inside the bones, and fuel. Regardless of the purpose or speed of the migration, the land bridge made it possible for people to move into the New World and was critical to the spreading of Native American population throughout North America. So we can think of, what if the Ice Age had never happened, right? Would the New World have been populated when it did? Maybe it would have been populated later after technology had evolved and people had developed better transportation, better boats, okay? Connection. Today, researchers have tested the DNA. DNA is in cells. You learn about it in science. Today, researchers have tested the DNA of both ancient and living Native Americans to see if their DNA could be traced back to other parts of the world. The results show that the DNA of Native Americans matches the DNA of people from East Asia. East Asia is, where's my map? East Asia is this part right here. Okay? Yeah. This information supports the idea that Native Americans are the ancestors of the first Americans that crossed the land bridge across the second ice age. So what that's saying is that it's saying that the DNA of the people that live here, the DNA that lives, people that from here matches the Native American DNA from here. Okay, that's just one piece of evidence to support it. Other pieces of evidence that show that people came at this time is they found some tools called the Clovis points, and they dated them to this time. Yeah, it's a really interesting topic. Again, it's a theory. People have evidence to support the claim that Native Americans came at this time. But again, maybe in the future someone comes up with a completely different theory of how these Native Americans made it to the New World. Okay, you will be having some of these questions to work on. I will give you access to this text, and then you'll have some of these questions. And then we're gonna start working on the actual Aztecs on Thursday. Okay, I'll see you guys later.